Hello and welcome to the Fedora Files. I am Gregory Fedora, and with me today is my best buddy, my friend who is the pugilist of the paranormal, Chip Stetson.
Hey, how you doing, Greg?
Good.
It's good to
I'm
see you,
doing
brother.
good. It's always good to see you.
I
And
like the intro. Thank you.
sure, that's it. Well, I mean, like I figured, some other ghost adventuring hunters, they like to fight spirits. So I thought maybe, yeah, you're a big guy. You could take on a ghost or two. Yeah.
You know what? I don't like instigating them.
I know,
I'm
but
more
if one were to try to hit you, you would hit it back. Yeah,
and
no,
probably go right through it.
but you
I mean,
try.
there it goes. Oh
Yeah,
yeah. I mean,
yeah.
well, I mean, a lot of people are just they're scared to go places. I mean, I'll go pretty much anywhere, even if I feel uncomfortable doing it. Just, I mean, that's part of the thrill of the investigation. So
Yeah. So now I know the last time, well, not the last time you're here, we talked about Thanksgiving, but the
yeah.
time before that, you had talked about Savannah and we were going to do a part two of it, but then you
Yes.
had been telling me some things about Chattanooga. So I
Oh,
wanted to see if you'd be willing to jump off of Savannah, take a break from Savannah, break it up, go into some Chattanooga stories, then we'll come back to Savannah. Like take a
okay.
little detour. Is that going to
Yeah,
throw
no,
you too much?
no, that I have no problem with that. In fact, when I was down there, it was my first time visiting Chattanooga, so I had
Mhm.
no idea of how important it was during the Civil War. I didn't know how big it was. I didn't know how secluded it was either. So I decided to take one of the local ghost tours because that's one of the best ways to learn about the city. And there's a guy, his name was Jason Tinney. He was our ghost tour that night, our ghost guide. And he walked us around. He talked about the history of Chattanooga, and he talked about a lot of different places. But the one place that stood out the most was a place that was called the Reed House.
Mhm.
It's a Sheraton hotel now. I think it's called the Sheraton at Reed House. If you go on my Instagram page, you'll see a lot of posters that they've placed inside the windows describing different people that have stayed there, different events that have happened, the most haunted room, which is, I believe it's 311 is the room.
Mhm.
And it started
Just
out
like the
as
band.
yeah, yeah, exactly. Now it started out as a place called the Crutchfield.
Mhm.
It was opened by Thomas Crutchfield in 1947, and he opened it up right in front of where the new railroad was going to be set up. And the railroad brought the East and West together, and it opened in 1850. So
Wow.
just 3 years later. So he planned ahead, and he was, all set for it, and it was thriving. It was just incredibly great business for about 10 years.
Mhm.
And then somebody named Jefferson Davis stopped by,
Oh,
climbed up on the
okay.
counter, and announced to everybody in 1961 that he had just left the Senate. He was leaving, and he was for secession. And Thomas Crutchfield got extremely upset. He's a loyalist, so he started
Mhm.
shouting back. Now, their debates are a little bit more intense than the ones that we have on the floor of the Senate and the House now. But bloodshed was averted because Thomas's son got him out of the room. He ended up leaving and abandoned the Crutchfield, which was a good
Hmm.
thing because several years later, after Chattanooga fell to the Union soldiers, it turned into a Union hospital, and there
Okay.
were hundreds and hundreds of deaths there. It was just incredibly unfortunate place for people suffering. And
Mhm.
then it burned down to the ground. I think it was like in 1961. I think it was. I can't remember now. And then 10 years later, it was opened up. Wasn't opened up, but it was built on top of, and they created the Reed House with a guy named William Reed. I believe it was William. Yeah, William Reed.
Mhm.
And it was thriving. It was great business. Everybody loved it. Had like what do they call those? Waterford crystal chandeliers, marble floors. Just it was an incredible place. But it also came along with a lot of ghosts
Mhm.
because with all of the Union soldiers and death and pain and agony, there tend to be a lot of apparitions floating around the hotel. People in period, not I don't want to say costumes because there weren't costumes back there.
Yeah.
Period uniforms, I guess.
Mhm.
Just apparitions. People, just looking at a place. When you turn and look, they're not there anymore. You have a
Mhm.
lot of that happening at this hotel. I had mentioned the room 311. This is also a really haunted room, and I can't remember the young lady's name, but there was a death. Um, there's three different stories with this. The first one and the most popular is that she was a lady of the night, and she was hired by one of the Union soldiers. They went up to 311, and they were doing what they do.
Hmm.
And some point at that, and during the night, an argument took place, and he slit her throat.
Oh.
Another story is that she took her own life.
Hmm.
The third story is that a jealous husband broke in and saw her with another man, and he killed her.
None of
There's
which
not
sound like pleasant stories.
no, no, but if they weren't for that, then we wouldn't have a ghost.
Yeah.
So I mean, there's a lot of different stories. She's a more violent, kind of a poltergeist, I guess.
Okay.
Objects get thrown, especially if you go in there and you're a smoker. She doesn't like smokers, apparently. If
Okay.
you smoke, then objects start getting thrown all over the place. So I haven't
That's
tried it.
that's understandable. Like
Yeah, yeah.
yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
well, nowadays anyway.
Yeah.
But she's just very active though. It's not constantly, of course. I mean, I
Mhm.
guess conditions have to be right for it. The other interesting thing about Chattanooga is it's a city that's built on top of itself.
Mhm.
And what I mean by that was Chattanooga has gone through three different major flooding events. And I mean, these would go like 40, 50 feet high above sea level and would flood the entire city. There
Mhm.
would be bodies, corpses floating in the streets and, well, the rivers, essentially, because they weren't streets. In fact, there was a guy that took his boat, took it into one of the hotel floors and started giving people boat tours of Chattanooga while the place was flooded. I mean, there was entrepreneurs around there, but
Mhm.
after the after the third time of the flood happening, the mayor of the town at the time got with some civil engineers, and they decided to raise the city like 20 feet and just build on top of itself. So if you go around the city, in fact, there's a garage picture that I took that's also on my Instagram page, where it just looks like an underground garage parking lot, and you can
Mhm.
see where the level meets Old Town with the new street level. And because of this, you'll find a lot of underground tunnels that don't really go anyplace. Um, Doorways that, like, you can only see like half of it.
Mhm.
Stairwells that go to nothing because they boarded it up. Just it's a really interesting place. But because of that and all the dead bodies that floated around
Yeah.
from the flood and all that, there's a lot of activity down there as well. They do a lot of ghost tours down there. I'm not sure when the underground, if they do an underground, but I know other ghost tours talk about that a lot more in depth than Jason did. But he was a fantastic tour guide. If you get a chance, if you visit Chattanooga and you want a really good time to learn about the town, learn about the ghosts, um, look for Jason Timmy, because he did or Tinney, he did an amazing job. He was incredible, well knowledge, not just on the ghosts and the haunted houses that we went by, but the history of the city. And like I
Mhm.
said, a lot of the history helps bring out the ghost stories whenever you
Yeah.
go someplace. So yeah, Chattanooga was just an incredible place. I really enjoyed it.
Right.
In fact, I didn't realize that the first bottling company for Coca-Cola was in Chattanooga.
Oh, really?
I mean,
Nice.
everybody thinks it's Atlanta because that's where
Yeah.
they're at now, but yeah, no, it was right there. I mean,
Oh,
like I
wow.
said, a
So,
lot of history. So it was a lot of
yeah,
fun.
that's nice, man. And so, what was your favorite story from Chattanooga? Would you
Well,
say?
I mean, I enjoyed that one, but we also went by an insane asylum
Nice.
where he wasn't really talking too much about the ghosts that were inside, but the experiences of people that he's had in his tour. Um,
Mhm.
there's a couple of pictures that he'd shown where people were taking pictures of the outside. The outside, the front of it is mostly glass. I mean, it's got
Mhm.
cinder brick on the sides, but the front is of the facade is just all glass. And somebody was taking pictures, just of the building, not anything in particular. And as they were going back, they saw this black hooded figure that was on the inside, right behind the front door, which they didn't see while they were there at the time.
Hmm.
They went back and saw it. So, I mean, he showed us the pictures. Very creepy, very lifelike. And the place has been
Mhm.
abandoned for like, I want to say like 30, 40 years. but
Oh
they
wow.
can't tear it down because of asbestos. So it's
Oh,
just sitting there empty, still filled with all the medical devices, all the equipment. It's a shell of itself, but you can't do anything with it.
hmm.
It was really neat.
No, that's cool.
I know. Whenever you start talking about ghosts and psych wards, I mean, that's when things start getting interesting. So,
Yeah. Great.
unfortunately, like I said, you can't go inside because of health reasons. But it was a lot of fun.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I mean, the best ghosts are the crazy ghosts. So,
Oh yeah,
yeah.
and me and crazy.
Yeah. You
It
you
seems to
don't
find
need
me.
another crazy in your
No, it
life.
just always seems to find me, man. Even when I'm not looking.
Yeah. Living or dead.
Yeah, exactly.
But so where are you headed next?
Well, actually, in a couple of weeks, uh, no, actually next week, I'm going to be heading down to Texas. I'm going to be visiting a couple. I'm going to San Marcos, San Antonio. I'm going to head down Waco and
Mhm.
Dallas, which I'm
Nice.
excited about Dallas because as I've been there before, but I didn't really spend a lot of time. We're going to hit the Kennedy Assassination Museum. We're going to visit the site. I want to see, all the historical parts of what happened there. The grassy knoll,
Yeah.
the X in the middle of the street where he got shot. Just that sort of thing's always fascinated me, and I've
Yeah.
never had a chance to, visit this. So I'm looking forward to that. And we'll see if there's any ghost stories around there
Yeah.
too.
And remember to duck.
Yes,
Yeah. So, yeah.
and keep the top of the
Keep your
car.
keep your roof on.
Yeah.
So, and that's awesome. Well, I want to thank you for going and telling us about Chattanooga, even though you thought we were going to talk about Savannah.
Yeah, no, like I said, it really stood out with me. The city is incredible. The people there are extremely nice. They've got a cliff where they have a place. They have Rock City, which is
Mhm.
man-made, but there's a lot of natural, paths and things like that. That's fun to walk through. It's just really interesting. And then there's also an indoor waterfall, and I can't
Oh,
remember what
cool.
the name of it was off the top of my head. But you go down about 450 feet, and then you walk about half a mile, get to be about 1,200 feet underground because of the mountain,
Mhm.
and it's got a 50-foot waterfall. And I mean, they've got lights and music, and it's just really inspiring. It's a really neat place. So, I mean, there's a lot of stuff to do there. But like I said, it's also out in the middle of nowhere. So if you're driving through, get everything you can out of the way there because, like I said, there's nothing else around.
Yeah. You just Chattanooga and then you're done. And
Yeah, yeah. Then on to Georgia.
nice.
That's where the excitement starts to happen.
Nice endorsement of Chattanooga there at the end.
Yeah, no, like I said, the people there were really nice,
Yeah.
friendly. The food was fantastic. I had one of the best hamburgers in the world I've ever had. Don't even remember the name of the restaurant. We went there for Cajun food, and then they started talking to us about the special, and it was a hamburger. I was like, damn, that sounds pretty good. So we ended up getting that. It was the best tasting hamburger I ever had.
Oh,
So
nice.
yeah, no, well, next to Ghost, food's the reason why I travel.
Yeah.
You got to try different places. I mean, look at me.
Yeah.
I mean, I get more than my fill. I'll tell you, I'm a foodie. I love eating new
Nice.
food.
We maybe one of these times we'll have to do a segment just on the restaurants you visited.
That I could do. I've got a whole list of them from different places.
There you go. See, you could give us your top 10.
Yeah, one thing, just off the top of my head, I couldn't believe when you and I went and visited Gettysburg, they
Yeah.
had a Friendly's restaurant. I mean,
Oh,
when
yeah.
was the last time you saw a Friendly's?
Yeah.
It's been like 30 years.
Yeah, it's ridiculous. Yeah, I didn't even know they still existed. And
I didn't either, and I loved
there it
their ice
was.
creams.
Oh yeah.
It was a ghost.
Yeah. Ooh, is a portal to another realm.
Yeah, there you
We
go.
should have gone in.
Yeah, no, man. Next time we're there, we're going to have to stop there for a
Oh
burger.
yeah, definitely. Yeah.
Oh man, that place is
We
great.
need to go in.
Yeah.
Well, I thank you again for stopping in and
Oh yeah.
chatting with
No,
us.
thanks for having me.
It's always a pleasure. And for those of you watching or listening or however you found us, thank you for stopping by. And remember to, as always, stay safe and keep searching.
The Fedora Files. Check out fedoracrt.com today.